the revolutionary ideas of Ramon Betances, the father of the Puerto Rican motherland, the leader of the first revolution for Puerto Rican independence, El Grito de Lares, who was the greatest defender of the idea of the Antilles Confederation, where Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico should be united as a single nation, the Confederation of the Antilles, and concept that many people think he created, but some people argue that Eugenio Maria de Hosto already predated him by around 5 years. Regardless the case, this historical figure who has almost been forgotten even among the Puerto Rican revolutionaries of his struggle. And this is a rare collection of essays in English to understand his revolution ideals from 1868 and beyond, in both English and Spanish. Let's start with the Spanish. Mi patria es Puerto Rico, cuyo recuerdo me obsesiona y crea que no me resigno a morir sin volver a aquel Cabo Rojo inolvidable, para ver de nuevo los guayabos, donde corretaba cuanto niño, y remojarme en las aguas de la pileta y rebujense tal vez mi espíritu, como el doctor Fausto, y oyendo el repique de campanas que alegraba el pueblo llamado a mismas los domingos. Ninguno de nosotros tiene el derecho de coger el país y entregar a un poder extranjero. Esta decisión no le pertenece sino a todo el pueblo puertorriqueño. Yo doy mi nombre para la revolución, no para la conquista de mi tierra. Si Puerto Rico no actúa rápidamente, será para toda la vida una colonia norteamericana. Como yo no he esperado un solo día, la causa de Puerto Rico de la de Cuba, y van ya 50 años, 1848 a 1898, me parece que el trabajaban por una es trabajar por la otra, y me es difícil renunciar a este hermoso sueño. El primer documento que planteaba abiertamente la doble perspectiva de la lucha por la independencia y la unión de las Antillas, data de julio de 1867, fue redactado en Nueva York por miembros del Comité Revolucionario de Puerto Rico. Entre lo que contaba Bentances, ese último párrafo exhortaba: cubanos y puertorriqueños, unid vuestros esfuerzos, trabajad de concierto, somos hermanos, somos una en la desgracia, seamos uno también en la revolución y la independencia de Cuba y Puerto Rico, y así podemos formar mañana la Confederación de las Antillas. La independencia absoluta es lo que puede salvarnos. Es espectáculo más raro y triste el todo un pueblo, chicos y grandes, celebrando la libertad que cree tener y que no tienen. El amor a la patria se nutren de respeto a los nuestros. Como las palabras de Lora Rodríguez de Tío, señalando la alianza de los cubanos y puertorriqueños. Cuba y Puerto Rico son de un pájaro, las dos alas reciben flores o balas sobre el mismo corazón. Now, we're going to continue of his many forgotten writings in English. The father of the nation, the largest screen manager, the doctor of the poor, the abolitionist known for buying slaves to freedom. From the book Antilles for the Antillians. The Antilles are going through a moment today that they had never experienced in history. They are now faced with the question of being or not being. We reject this dilemma. This is the precise moment to act in a united defense. Let us unite with each other for our own conservation. It will be in vain for the MPS president to try to traffic with the country, as in Santo Domingo, sacrifice his fellow citizens. It will be useless for Spain to try to end the insurrection of Cuba by selling the island to the United States, and giving it thus begin the absorption of all the Antilles by the Anglo-Saxon race. Let us unite, let us love each other, let us all form a people of true Masons, and that we will be able to raise a temple of such solid foundation that all the forces of the Saxon and Spanish race together will not be able to shake it. A temple that will dedicate to independence, on whose frontispiece we will engrave. We will engrave this inscription, an imperishable as the homeland, which it dictates both our interest and ours, praise, the most generous intelligence and the most selfish instinct for self-preservation, the Antilles for the children of the Antilles. Let us be the generation of sacrifice, and the steadfast and constant in our purpose. For us, let us only hope for the nefarious, tireless struggle, the relentless pain, the exile, the martyrdom, the death. More for our children, the fortunate act of their indelible independence, our legacy, this infallible glory of not belonging to a foreigner, of being a master of themselves, which is the supreme happiness bound before the only empire of justice and under the sweetest sky of the free and independent homeland. If till today I have fulfilled my duty serving as I could the country, I cannot fail to fulfill it. It is the last years of my life. Puerto Ricans, enough of oppressive diligence and Spanish despotism. To arms! The wealth of our island, its dense and brave population, the enlightenment of its children, its relations with the true Americas, all give you the right to aspire to independence. From Mexico to Chile, all of the America has cast ignorance, stubborn, and exploitative Spain from his bosom. Cuba, the heroic island as the entire world calls it today, is now free from shameful domination. 4 centuries of passive obedience and humble supplication have failed to convince metropolitan government of our right to be free. War will only make us such. To the weapons! Puerto Ricans, enough of oppressed tutela. Borinque called his children to the conquest of his freedom. A useless army and a navy is set to keep us in slavery, a swarm of starving employees, a lazy, disorderly, immoral bureaucracy, represent for us nothing but contribution and more contribution, in which the wealth of our country is depleted year after year, and which the whole fruit of our work is lost. It doesn't matter if you are a Spanish colony or a Yankee colony. Poor people always spit in the face of those who sacrifice themselves for them. To the Puerto Ricans, friends, 4 centuries of oppression and servitude had not abolished for us the right to be free. That right every man brings with him at birth. God gave it to him. For man is born with aspiration to the joys of existence, and without freedom there is no possible happiness. Let us not lose heart. Wanting to be free is to begin to be. I believe in our future, and it is reserved as I had practiced in the past my internal and unalterable love for freedom of all, my veneration for the republican virtues, my admiration and my respect for the great minds, my fraternal compassion for the servant of all races and of all classes, my heart, my life for us, all brothers and whatever they are, my uncompromising hatred for tyrants. I believe in freedom and in the Republic. I believe in them. For my country where men of intelligence and good men abound. I believe in the equality of our rights with all civilized people. The great ones are not great but because we are on our knees. Let's get up. Send me, then, a hymn that will make rifles come out, nothing more. I am not asking for man from the earth that will drag the stones and blow fire on the test spots. My heart breaks every time I think we are miserable slaves and infamous villany. Villany, you, Whoever had a titanic hand, oh Borinque, who would tear you from the base of the Andes and plunge you to the bottom of the ocean. First time to see you dragged, prostituted, and brutalized, servitude and kissing the feet of the tyrant. In my opinion, the future of our country lies in the Confederation of the Greater Antilles, which could merit a nation of 25 million inhabitants. I keep fighting as I can on the usual path until I fall asleep. You know that in our country, the separatists have been anathemized for a long time. I do not feel capable of doing a job that gives reason to be autonomous of today or yesterday. I know that I am the loser, but I hope that our countrymen will one day say that if any party in Puerto Rico has given proof of its virility, it has been the party of Lares, the separatists. The Spanish government has had the ability to numb most of those who were with us, making them the insignificant concession that they now have. But it is good to remember that although the deposit government had always followed the same policy, insofar they have believed a people capable of claiming their rights with arms in their hands. Let us not forget then that Lares means something in the Puerto Rican struggle to attain freedom, and I, who have been and will die a separatist, I imagine that without revolution, without independence, we will never be but the internal colony of Spain. Written a letter to Don Antonio Valles Alvarado. I am not cut to the settle for injustice. I am not satisfied. In short, it is incontestable that the government of Washington in its matter has never been guided by the interests of the Antilles, but by the advantages that its union with North America has to provide. I have been, am, and will die a separatist. I will always hear with joy the cry that my companions launch, which will guide you along the path of triumph, and which I repeat today with all of you after 25 years in exile. Long live it, revolution! Long live free and independent Borinque! Puerto Rican man past but principle remain and their triumph. Proclamation of the death of Segundo Ruiz Belvis. Segundo Belvis Ruiz, a true martyr of holy causes of our freedom, has bequeathed to us when he died in the ideas that inflamed his spirit, the hopes that fulfilled his heart as a Republican and a hero. The shadow of him, venerated by him, wanders from one end of the island to the other, invited us to destroy the chains of servitude that have our country bent at the feet of its oppressors. Proclamation of the death of Segundo Ruiz Belvis. Written in exile in Paris. I think that for now, Segundo Ruiz Belvis was indisputable the best and the most determined and the most willing to sacrifice his property, his life, and even his family. I don't want a colony with Spain or the United States. What happens to Puerto Ricans who don't rebel? You're right. The homeland is the place where you are born, the corner of the world concentrated by the memory of our mothers, where our first ideas germinate. My homeland is Puerto Rico, whose memory haunts me, and you believe that I resign myself to dying without returning to that unforgettable red cape. This one was written as a response to Salvador Parado from his poem Patria in the book El Estaredo del País. When you want an omelet, you have to break eggs. Omelets without broken eggs or revolution without scramble, you don't see them. This was written as a response to Eugenio Maria de Eusto in their first meeting. The question of annexation had been judged and is no longer being discussed, because by instinct the people feel all that is disastrous in their hearts. That is written in a letter from Paris. As if no people will conquer their freedom without demolishing palaces, without burning huts, and without shedding blood. So what? We have to deny perhaps our adorable land, our luminous sky, our affectionate customer, our Creole language, our popular songs, melancholic reflection of aspiration to freedom, our brilliant history, everything that constitutes the homeland against Chain, who asks for life from one but us and called us to defend the crown of immortality that they want to take from her. Those outdated annexationists, rich men, forgetting about future generations and without thinking more, they start to dream that the apple tree will bear tasty fruit in Havana and upon juicy coconut in Washington, as if both trees under deadly climates for them. I was not still condemned to perish. Cooperate North America in good time to our freedom, but don't help to country to annexation. Another important writing in the Grito Lare, where he wrote his own constitution for the Republic of Puerto Rico called the Ten Commandments of Man. Proclamation of the Ten Commandments of free men of Puerto Ricans. The government of Dr. Elizabeth II launched a terrible accusation on us. She said that we are bad Spaniards. The government slandered us. We don't want separation. We want peace, union with Spain. More, it is fair that we also put conditions in the contract. They are very simple. Here they are. 1. The abolition of slavery. 2. Right to vote all impositions. 3. The freedom of religion. 4. The freedom of speech. 5. The freedom of the press. 6. The freedom of trade. 7. Wait, by the way, we still don't have that. 7. The right of assembling. 8. Right to own weapons. 9. Inviolability of the citizen. 10. Right to choose our authorities. Despite being an anarchist. Those are the Ten Commandments of free man. If Spain feels capable of giving us and give us those rights and freedom, that it will be able to send us Captain General of government made of straw. We will burn in the days of Canestolendas. In commemoration, all the Judases who are till today sold out, and we will be Spanish. Yes, no Puerto Ricans. Patience, I swear you will be free. Written in 1867. Stay away from any negotiation with the Americans. They will never let go of Puerto Rico. Defend the homeland before it is too late. Settler, product of colonial despotism, I took revenge on him by imagining a definitive form of freedom and a conceive of confederation of ideas, since a political confederation was impossible for me. For my island, I see Santo Domingo, I see Cuba, I see Jamaica, and I think of the confederation. I look north and feel the confederation. I travel the semicircle of islands that geographically link to the federate Puerto Rico with Latin America. I prophesied a providential confederation. If I were able to step back, it would be to burn my brains with lead and gunpowder. Friend, in revolution, life all sacrifice are few. This was written a letter from Bentances to Hostos in July 4, 1874. The freedom of Cuba without Borincans will not be more than half independence. Putting all the Caribbean countries at the hand of the US will be like condemning our race to its disappearance. Is the US Constitution as honor for humanity? But are we sure that transplant in our climate and apply to our race will produce the same invaluable fruits? Do not know neither the apple tree in the Havana nor the palm tree in Washington. They will both perish. I want my burial to be smooth, flat, without pomp of any kind, and secular. When the longed for the day arrives, my remains will be taken to my beloved Puerto Rico. I ask that they wrap in the sacred flag of my homeland. This was a testament of Dr. Ramon Emeterio Betances. Thus my pen goes away when I dream of all the evil. I only know it, that the reformists, the autonomists, and the assimilationists had done to the country. To condemn ourselves to aspersion by the Anglo-Americans when they have been, are, and will be disastrous for us before, during, and after this already cruel war. You can be sure of finding in me, as in every soldier of absolute independence, the irreconcilable enemy of Spain, the fierce enemy of the Americas, as long as they have the pretense of annexing us. They had gotten tired of calling us crazy. We are not the ones who can look at them almost with compassion. This was really a letter to Eugenio Maria de Hostos. There are those who find that Céspedes and Bolivar did not do enough. What then will not be what they can say about us, but always go ahead. Again, a letter to Eugenio Maria de Hostos. We are crazy if, when the day comes, we do not take advantage of the favorable circumstances that are being prepared. This was a letter to Lola Rodriguez Castillo, the writer of the lyrics of the original national anthem of Puerto Rico in 1879. His ode to him, Dear Lola, is the hottest song that any Puerto Rican poet has released to date. Letter to Lola Rodriguez Castillo, 1880. For all of this, indifference has been made, which is more than contempt. Dear Lola, we must not despair. One day the resurrection of that town that sleeps and is robbed by the reform will come. Go ahead, forever. Nothing here has a good influence, you say. It is true if you add immediately, but the seas remain, and who knows what will come of it for the good of the country. Letter to Eugenio Maria de Hostos. I know that what we do is little, but it's always something what it is that encourages us to work. More than all, love for our people whose civilization interests us. More than all, love for our people whose civilization interests us, and even if everything is forgotten later, that will be our reward. In Mayagüez and Cabo Rojo, there have always been men of value. But what is past. New men come, and you will win with the shame. Let him know that it was not in Madrid, but the abolition of slavery was prepared by in Cuba itself, and also in Puerto Rico. In this wing of the bird, some played their head long before Lares to prepare it. Gloria well to the people of Puerto Rico, who are the true hero of this cause, and not to those of Madrid. Glory to the people, and him nothing more. My dear Lola, we must never faint. We saw those who come later will do the harvest. Meanwhile, what must be done is to fight for the honor and dignity of the country. It is the only thing for my part that I have been able to do, and I will die with the feeling of not having done more, but with the conviction that others will be more fortunate, that the Antilles will be free. My poor Cabo Rojo, my eyes fill with water, thinking about him. Such a beautiful country, and so miserable. Puerto Rico is a complete binge. There they are drunk with a reform that did not been given to them. It is the strangest and saddest show in a whole town. Celebrate the freedom that they think they have and don't have. Maybe the dance won't last long. Let them look back at the orchestra. Everyone has to see why there are no violins. Letter to Eugenio Maria de Hostos, April 1st, 1871. Oh, my noble and beautiful Borinque. Cry, 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 your children have died. But no, you must be immortal. It can still be seen everywhere, written on your internal shores. The hand of God passed through here. I know that the invader had no scruples and drunk with gold. They brought new slaves to make them perish once more, that his hatred is sitting, and your bruised and groaning body that his mouth was filled with the blood of your corpse. How sad, breathless, and dead, the master without compassion treats you. Let your soul wander along the shore and fearful of eternal death. Watch to see if a ship arrives from another shore, but look under the thick underground of that steep cliff. Who is this shuddering body? Who will be the outlook? He is the Indian. In the distance in the woods far off the road, who is this man with the shaggy front? He is the black man holding out his hand. They are slaves. They are brothers. Both unite under the yoke with the same prayer and same gods. Make the same vows for you. Borinque, Borinque, beloved. They shout in unison, humanity. When will the homeland finally be reborn? In the spring of freedom. The people who want freedom, take them, and does not expect them from anyone more from grace and mercy. It is difficult to be fooled by misery because I believe only in what I see. In this way, I will walk in pain throughout my life. And when the sovereign say to silence their remorse, it is an inheritance. The people respond, when a father begets a crime to his son, the son's duty is not to continue the crime, but to wash it away.